And then, of course, we have our flight, our rules. We know we're flying VFR, and we have our route. So essentially what this is saying, Camarillo to that waypoint that I decided to add in there just because, to the RZS, to Gaviota, to Guadalupe VOR. All right, if we wanted to still switch up the route, we can absolutely click on route, and we can see what other people have done and actually click on one of these different routes. So let's go ahead and we'll select that route, and we'll update, we'll ignore that, all right? So we updated our route, and we're staying at our altitude that we did. What we can do here is if we're going up with our buddies, we'll say that there's going to be 4 people on board. So this is just kind of giving us into flight planning and our weight and balance type thing. So 4 people on board, we're saying they're weighing an average of 200 pounds each. So that's going to be our cargo, our payload. Well, let's say they want to bring their backpacks too. We'll consider that an extra 60 pounds. So now we're seeing here that our total payload is 860 pounds. Okay. We have start fuel. Let's just go ahead and say that we're just going to max out the tanks. So we've got maximum fuel. We've got, obviously we're good to go. Our flight fuel, it's going to tell us that we've got basically taxi fuel, and then fuel to destination is essentially, if we're looking at the left side, it's in pounds, and the right side is in gallons. So if we're got 50 gallons worth of fuel, or it's telling us we need a minimum or of at least 30 gallons to make this flight out of the 55 we have available. But let's just say we want to put in, we're going to put in that we actually have 55 gallons worth of fuel. All right. So we wanted to put in that's basically telling us that we need, that's 30 gallons of fuel because of the one gallon of fuel, the taxi, start and taxi, the 12 gallons to actually make the flight, and then we'll end up with 16 gallons at our landing spot. Okay. We'll have 8 gallons still of reserve, and then it'll show us, of course, calculated out. We know our performance, our airplane weighs a certain amount plus our 860 pounds that we just added because of the people and cargo. So we still have 170 people or 170 pounds available that if we want to add extra baggage, or maybe we're buying stuff up there, we want to bring it back, we still have 170 pounds available. Our takeoff weight is going to be 2,650 pounds. So it's just going to give us, this is how much we have. We can go ahead and take off, fly, and then, obviously as we continue on, we'll go on, or we know it's packed, it's good to go. If we want to, we can actually file this flight. So we can proceed to file. Depending on how we want to file it, we can file it and have it on file with, ATC. If we want to, if you're doing an IFR flight plan, you can actually click at check everything, verify everything is correct and good for people. Yep, looks good. Everything is great. Where we're going, our life jackets that we have, who's flying it, and then we'll click on file. Okay, we're not going to do that right now, but so that's basically the basics of that. Again, this is a pro type feature. So if you guys do not have pro, then what you can do, so you can actually go back into here into more. So I just clicked on the bottom right. We selected more on the bottom. Okay. So what's going to happen? We see checklist, logbook, weight and balance. And I know David talked about these a little bit, but we're going to go into weight and balance real quick, and then we'll come back to some of these other ones. So we click on weight and balance here. What we can do is, of course, we'll select, let's just go ahead and select our 783 Bravo Golf. Okay, so this is one of the other aircraft. What we're going to do is, of course, we know our weights based off of what our POH is telling us, and what our maximum takeoff weight is, right, 2,450 pounds. Our ramp weight max is 2,457. So we can go in here and actually select and put in all these things. And if our pilot is, it's me, 160 pounds, save that, then we see how that kind of shifts our weight and balance type of profile, basically. All right, so if we're going to say we don't need that much, we'll just put in 30 gallons, all right? All right, sorry, we'll put in 40 gallons. Okay, so that's going to shift our weight and balance a little bit more. Passengers, we got 2 passengers. Yeah, they're 120, we'll say they're 200 pounds each, so you can actually put in their 400 pounds. But now see, look what we did there is it shifted outside of our center of gravity, basically envelope. So let's say, well, you guys aren't allowed to come anymore, so now it's just back to 0. And look at that. we're allowed, we're good, we're within that CG limits, okay? So essentially with that, we've got our baggage, we can put all this stuff in. This is available in our profile, but what we can do when we actually are loading a new airplane, what's going to end up happening is you go on setup. So we'll go in here, November, we'll just switch this up, November 2078 Golf. Okay, it's a Cessna, we'll just leave it as it is. And then we go in there and we can put in our units if we're either using, we're basically selecting that we are going to be measuring in inches and our weight will be in pounds. Do we want a percent Mac? No, we don't. We don't need that. And then, of course, we could put in our fuel, what kind of fuel we're using, where, and this is all pulling from the POH. So our POH would tell us that our front seats are at 37 inches from the datum, right? If you want to know what a datum is, we can talk about that later. But this is basically, it's telling us that our front seats are 37 inches from the datum. We have a limit of 53 gallons of fuel, and that's based off pulling, that is the Cessna 172, and that's at 46 inches from the datum. Our aft seats are at 73, a baggage area is at 95. Our empty weight is, 1683 as we're showing, and this could be pulled from your actual weight and balance from your certified mechanic. Your center of gravity, basically this is your empty weight aircraft, and then of course, then you can go in there and find your weight limits. So we know our takeoff limit weight is 2450. Our landing is 2450 as well. And then we don't have a zero fuel weight. We can go in there and figure out where our forward center of gravity limits are. So for example, we know if it's at 2450 and 40 inches, 35 inches, and 1950 and 1500 pounds, and that's how we actually start to build this little envelope, as we say. Our aft center of gravity limits are going to be that 1500 and 2450 at 47.3 and 40. And again, this is pulling from the POH. All right. Then from there, when we go actually load it, then this is already preloaded the envelope for us. So we can just actually input in there, okay, we got a pilot and co-pilot, 160, 180 pounds. We got one passenger in the back. He's going to be 200 pounds. And now it's showing, look, we're overweight. Okay. So we'll bring, we could bring less fuel. We could try and calculate it out. Bring 35 gallons worth of fuel, still overweight. All right. So these are things that we can do, and we can do a manual where we're doing it on paper and figuring this stuff out. But let's just tell, all right, there we go. We told the passenger that he's not allowed to bring his backpack anymore. That weighed 15 pounds, and now we're in weight, barely. We see our takeoff weight is pretty much at the highest, or our takeoff center of gravity is pretty much at the maximum that we can do, but we'll be landing somewhere right there in the middle, still within the envelope, making it making this flight safe. Audit mode.
Audit mode is if you want to check the math of what the computer is doing. So if he moves that slider to the right now, go ahead and do it. And then he scrolls down, it's going to basically show you, weight times arm equals moment. So that way you can see the breakdown of everything. It's not necessary to really have it open. I mean, it's just simple math.
Okay. All right. So that was our weight and balance. That's how we kind of got our weight and balance done in the basic way to do it. If you don't have that pro, which is completely fine, this is a different way for you to actually go in there. You can set up all of your different things. And I clicked on setup on the bottom, down towards the airports and maps tab right above there. It says load and setup. So you click on setup, put in your tail number, the make, model, and then of course you can put in there what units, fuel type, and it'll automatically know your fuel density, 6 pounds. You'll go by the POH and figure out all these different moments, the weights of the aircraft, again, published in the POH, or of course your weight and balance certified copy. And then you'll know you have maximum weight limits. So like 2457 sitting on the ramp, or 2450 is your max takeoff weight, right? And that's how we're pulling. We see here that, we've got the 1,500 pounds at 35 inches up to 1,950 pounds. That's basically creating that first line on the left side, right? But then at 2450 pounds, it's actually 40 inches. All right, that's how that gets that slanted line over there. And it's building that profile for our envelope, basically for our center of gravity. Okay, so again, to get down here, we are in the more menu down at the very bottom. And then when we click on more, we clicked on weight and balance. And then we went into the specific airplane that we want to fly. Okay.